Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another group fitness report. This is a good transition, I think, into the new year. Right now, we're filming this in 2023, the beginning of 2023. But I have to admit, I'm actually changing the class or the name and title of this offering that I give everyone one time per month with a different other fitness professional that is leading the industry each month. So we're actually going to transition it to be fitness report, just the plain old fitness report, so we can speak to group fitness managers and the other fitness managers, because I'm recognizing that people are asked to wear so many hats, especially after the time of the pandemic. We're working with personal trainers, we're working with group fitness instructors, and so much more. So this is kind of the first video of the year that we're making our way into that transition. And I'm so grateful for Ingrid to join me today. Ingrid Knight-Cohee and I met at IDEA this year, and she was speaking to the audience 2 sessions worth about signature formats. And it's, again, perfect timing for this kind of New Year time, or whenever you're watching this video and are considering offering signature formats. And her sessions were amazing. They were really helpful when it comes to the thought process that you need to go through to provide those signature formats. And she has so much great experience in the industry. You may have read some of her articles or her blogs or listened to other webinars and talk shows and podcasts she's been on before. But thank you so much, Ingrid, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Stacy. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too. So like I said earlier, I like to keep this straight and to the point, but it's all about being a fitness manager, how we have to wear so many hats, how we have to lead so many people, and how we have to get creative with new programs. So Ingrid, my first question for you is, what do you say, or how do you define a signature format from other formats?
Great first question. We're going to dive right into things. A signature format is really something that differentiates you. And I think when you've been in this industry for a while, we're familiar with yoga, Pilates, spinning, cardio strength formats, HIIT formats. It's hard to stand out in a crowd. So a signature format really allows you to do that. It's what you are good at. It's what sets you apart. It's what differentiates you. And it's what is going to attract the consumer to you, because you're offering something current and new and relevant and exciting.
I love it. I love it. And during her session, when she was sharing with us some various ideas and concepts for signature formats, she was speaking to the considerations that we have to make when we're creating these formats. So what are some considerations that you would say can help us try to create something unique, but will also accomplish the attendance we're looking for with our current clients?
Right. It's really a balancing of many elements, right? Because you have your facility, you have your equipment, you have your talent, your instructor talent, and you have your audience. So all of these things need to play a role in the decision maker as a programmer. What am I going to put on this schedule? So based on all of those components, it's really about gathering your data first and foremost. Again, what is the square footage of your space, or are you outdoors? What instructor talent do you have, and what are they excited to teach? If you have a team of really, cardio junkies, let's call them, it's going to be tough to sell them on, okay, no, we're really going to focus all of our attention on this relax and recovery format. It might not be their jam, and then you're stuck. So it's a question of figuring out all of those components and what your talent is excited to deliver. Generally speaking, that's going to make your membership excited to attend. So that's kind of one strategy. On the other hand, though, as a programmer, your role is to pack classes, right? Now that we can be packed again, you want to make sure that the studio is full. So it's also about, who's your audience, who's your demographic. You might have a long-standing member base that really, attends the classes that you offer. But if you want growth, if you want expansion, if you want to attract a different audience, you might have to offer different things. So surveying, reaching out on social media, interviewing, finding out what are people interested in and what do they think your club or facility is lacking. Those are pieces of the puzzle as well. So it's not an easy task, but if you do your homework, you're going to find that you'll expend your energy in the right direction instead of just kind of throwing everything to the wall and seeing what sticks.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that terminology, right? What do they say? Throwing spaghetti against the wall or whatever.
Right.
It's what we were doing, I think, during the pandemic. And now it's time to really get intentional, like you explained, about what your team wants to do, what you believe in your, heart and soul that can really work for the community, whether that's people who are with you now or not and are looking
Mm.
for something new and different. So that's a wonderful way to look at it. Because I love that you break things down too. I think sometimes we get scared of being creative as fitness managers or leaders because we're so in the weeds of leading our team and answering emails and keeping the microphones working and all of that.
The day to
That
day,
it
yeah.
Yeah, it can be so intimidating to think about creating something new. So breaking it down, just as Ingrid said, taking what talent you have, understanding what they're looking for, what they are interested in teaching, breaking down the day, time, and opportunity that may make sense for your schedule to try something new. And then, like she said, doing your research, researching whether it's people who are with you now or within the community, what other places may have people that may be interested in this program. And actually, Ingrid, at this point, I think if you won't mind sharing some of the signature formats that you have implemented yourself at your facilities that really took off or did well, and what those, I guess, don't necessarily steal from Ingrid because it may not work right with, I know she's so generous and is happy to have you take it, but just make sure it's definitely in alignment with what you're doing, but or what your audience would like. But if you don't mind sharing some of the ideas that you'd shared in your sessions, that'd be wonderful.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's no piece of pie mentality. I mean, I think the creativity is endless out there. So by all means, take one of these ideas and run with it. One great example is a club that I worked for had a big anniversary. I think it was our 50th anniversary. And we had a popular circuit format, but I decided for this birthday, we would create a 50th birthday class. And it lasted for the season. And really, one of the things you can do with a signature format that I discovered in this process was you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't have to be all brand new. You can basically take an existing successful format and just tweak it a little bit, put a theme to it, and all of a sudden it's new without really being new. So we took this existing kind of popular circuit structure and we created just the number 5 or 50 related to everything. So there were 5 stations. You had to do 10 repetitions of each exercise or 50 seconds of an interval. So there was kind of this, 50 theme to the whole class. And then after 5 rounds, we had something like 5 cardio blitz exercises or something, again, to enhance that theme of 50. So that was one great idea that was very successful. More recently, and we mentioned the pandemic and all of the ups and downs, and a lot of us landed in a new place in terms of different demographics coming to the clubs. And one of our locations in particular, I found we have these millennials coming in who just weren't attending classes. So that was really intriguing to me. Like I was so curious, like what is going to get these, young folks into the class? And I just observing behavior, just noticing that a lot of these folks were coming in pairs, often, with a friend, very social, but with skipping ropes. And I thought, well, isn't this interesting? Who knew skipping is back, right? So I started just kind of doing some research and discovered an organization, a local jump rope organization, and they had a huge following. So another great strategy with a signature format is partnerships. So I reached out they reached back and we just coordinated this special skip and strength format that really took off. So, again, you don't have to completely, I guess, rely on your own creativity. You can just look around you and look at what other people are interested in doing and saying, hey, how can I be involved in that? Or how can I facilitate that and create a class out of it?
Love it. Love it. Yeah, partnerships is so brilliant. And the fact that she just mentioned you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's so, so true. You may be offering something that maybe it just needs a different environment, or maybe it needs, like you said, a new formula or a music theme where you have like older music, newer music, or like I do love playlists where it's like Beyonce versus Backstreet Boys or something,
Sure,
like
yeah,
something
yeah,
where
little battles.
they're
Yeah,
yeah, little
those are
like
fun.
battle, like band battles or something. But those can be so easy to make it a unique experience, and it doesn't have to be forever. So that's another thing you mentioned was, and I've lately been really recognizing, I think, and maybe same with you, since we're not in the same kind of region, the inconsistency in some people's schedules at this point, after the pandemic, that not always are we keeping programs forever on the schedule. They still have this kind of crazy ebb and flow in attendance. So hopefully that makes some of you feel better if you're experiencing that. It's not your fault. It's just the way life is right now. So with that, maybe it's a temporary program or it's a quarterly program that you offer, and it gives you the chance to make those tweaks. So I've lately been speaking more to like enrollment programs similar to that anniversary program that was for that timeline, has a start and a finish,
Right.
or workshops or retreats that are kind of a one-time thing, or just special events where you're just doing a one-time celebration of a certain playlist, or there's holidays like International Women's Day coming up in February, and all kinds
Absolutely.
of opportunities to get creative, but not
Yeah.
have to commit to it forever. Yes.
Yeah, and it definitely, yeah, it allows you to stay relevant and stay fluid and dynamic. And I think that's very much, social reality right now. We are a bit fickle and hard to, it's hard to commit to things long term. But if you keep things interesting and changing, and you get your membership accustomed to that, if you do have a change in staffing, or if you do have a change in,
Yes.
equipment supply, you can pivot, because that's been adapting is what we've
I
had to
love
do.
it.
But
Love it.
you did mentioning that just reminds me as well. One of the challenges that programmers often have is the cost of everything, right? So if you're looking to launch a new program that is equipment based,
Mhm.
well, if the equipment is, $100, $200 a pop, and you're trying to accommodate 20 people, like that can add up. So my advice with that, you can still create a great signature program, but oftentimes suppliers or, equipment providers with these new innovative items, they're just as excited to work with you as you are with them. So remember the power of your position, and the ability to say, hey, I'm very interested in what you have to offer. How about we try it? Come deliver a workshop to my staff, let my members try out this class format or this tool, and then you survey, you find out, did people love it or not, and then you can kind of make the decision to evolve from there. And there's also
Brilliant.
that sweet spot for personal trainers, in particular with small group personal training.
Mhm.
So again, when it comes to price your equipment, maybe you just want to purchase 5 units, because then you can host small group training, as opposed to, the big 30, 40 people kind of studio concept.
I love that so much. You're so right. And it may have to do with our budgets, or it could just be we know we're not going to get it approved. So we
Yeah.
have to work with the provider.
Yeah.
Yes. And so there's almost this like give it a try, and then and it
Try
can
before you
take off.
buy.
Exactly. Oh, that's so, so helpful. So, so helpful. Um, so on that kind of note of giving us those ideas and then suggestions and working with partnerships, and I remember you showing us some great pictures of the programs that you were trying, at your facilities. What are some maybe marketing, tactics or strategies that you would recommend for people who are interested in launching and, of course, creating, I guess, generating interest in a new program?
Sure, sure. I mean, well, your own staff are your greatest resource, right? And again, when they're excited about something, they're gonna, definitely use the megaphone, both in person and on social media to get the word out.
Yeah.
And I think imagery, we're so, drawn to the visuals of, okay, what does this look like? What is this going to feel like? What are the benefits? What do I get out of this? The more you can, describe and explain the value of something, the more intrigued a consumer is going to be. And you just also reminded me of, I think I spoke to one of the other formats that we offered was a certain class format that was related to hiking.
Yes.
So it was, I think we called it Rise and Grind. And it was really just lower body muscular strength, right? And ankle stability and balance, core strength. But we built it up in relation to an actual event, an actual hike. So that was something that got our instructors really excited, got our members on board, and we were surprised. We live in a very outdoorsy type of environment, but there's a lot of people that had never been on this very popular hiking trail because they didn't have the confidence or they didn't have someone to go with. So it was really exciting to have this community that was a community inside a studio, taking that outside and just really bringing home the fact that, why do we do this? To get the most out of life and have these amazing experiences. So the visuals that we were able to capture in that event just, propels us to the next event and the event after that. Like when people see the results, I think that's one of your most powerful marketing tools.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think sometimes 'cause I've been fortunate enough to work with a marketing department, which I know we don't always have the luxury of using, but sometimes the images they might give you are very beautiful. Like it's a hand with a dumbbell and it looks really hardcore and awesome. But I love the story you explained around the imagery to help people really understand the experience. And seeing a hand with a dumbbell really
Yeah.
doesn't tell them a whole lot. It might look good, the hand may be pretty and everything, but
Right.
it
It's
really
not
has
quite the
to
same.
no, exactly. Like, do you get an emotional feeling from it? Like, do you get something like a deeper understanding of what it's like? And from your images that it sounds like you were able to capture, the smiles, the people who are normal people that look, they
Exactly.
look like a
Yes.
real human being. They don't have their shirt off all the time. Like
You want it
it's
to be relatable for sure.
yes,
And I think,
Canva is a great marketing tool, but sometimes the pictures when I look up fitness classes, I'm like, really?
yeah.
This is not
So
what,
true.
yeah, not real. So I love that. Finding real actual footage from the actual class or the experience, leaning on your instructors. You're so right. They will shout for the rooftops. And if you can try to
Mhm.
organize those, I guess, those testimonials, sometimes that can be helpful if you do like a series of them sharing their input on social. And they love being a part of that marketing too. I think it could potentially be a way to keep your team
Yeah, yeah.
where they feel involved.
I think there's those that really gravitate towards it and they're good at it and they love it. And then there's those that maybe aren't
Yes,
so much,
that's true. Don't
which
force
is
anyone.
okay. But it's a different strokes for different folks. But yeah, we definitely recognize that, even the what we call sweaty selfies after classes,
Yes.
and just a authentic gathering of like-minded people just having a great fitness class together. That just really speaks volumes, and it demonstrates an existing happy community, and it's something that people want to be a part of, and that's definitely, I think, what effective communication is all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we've spoken to really every piece of signature formats at this point. So from the curation or the ideation of the actual event, whether it's an event, a regular class, a series of classes, or it could be even a workshop, the starting point, the middle point with creating and starting to put all the pieces together to potentially market the program, and then finally marketing the program and then getting prepared for the next one. I love that you've kind of laid out the formula and the timeline for our fitness managers to follow. And then thank you so much for sharing your ideas too. I know you had so
Oh,
many great ideas in your sessions, and I always love it when we're so giving of those things too.
well, my pleasure. I think, especially in our industry, the more the merrier. The more we can make fitness fun, and we know that people enjoy working out in groups far more than working out alone. It adds to adherence and results, so it's all good. The only other thing I would like to add is that really there are no mistakes. Even if you run something and you're like, oh, nobody came, or we got a low turnout, or the instructors didn't like this as much as they thought, it's all good because it's information, right? And you always learn
Absolutely.
from that information, and just learn from there, and move forward.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think sometimes we even will think back to something we tried and it may not have worked pre-pandemic, but our world has completely changed. So take that
Yes,
information,
indeed.
tweak it, and then I'm so glad you mentioned that, and try again or try something a little different, because you
For
may be
sure.
surprised. Oh, I'm so glad. And that's the only way innovation will really happen, or doing anything new.
So true.
Rarely, yeah, rarely when someone did something really cutting edge and new, did everyone go, "Oh, that's amazing." It's like it's
Right.
gonna,
And it's never the first time, right? When you hear of any success story, it's only later that you find out, oh, this was the 1000th time that this person
yes,
tried this. It
yes.
takes effort and commitment.
Mhm.
But I think especially in our industry, we're all very optimistic and passionate about what we do, and we will keep trying because we know at the end of the day we make a huge difference in both physical and mental health. So it's there's no wrong answer.
There is not. Thank you so much. That was like the perfect line to end with. So
Okay.
let's just keep moving and keeping everyone happy. Thank you so much, Ingrid, for your time today. I hope to see you at other conferences this year. And
Yeah, I'll be at URSA March
oh,
20th.
yay!
I'm
Oh, cool.
presenting there. So
I love it. Mark your calendars. That's in San Diego too, right?
yes,
Oh,
yes, sunny San
beautiful.
Diego.
Perfect. Perfect location. Yay, congratulations. So exciting. I'll hopefully see you there.
Sounds
Um,
good.
and then next, I just like to share our next episode of the fitness report will be with Billy Polson, who's also, he was at IDEA, I believe, also a presenter, also a business owner in California, Southern California. And he is going to be speaking to us more on working with independent contractors versus employees. So all of his trainers and instructors are independent contractors, and how there's just a big difference with how you can lead them, how you work with that type of employee. It's not even an employee, independent contractor. So we have that to look forward to next month. That right now, I just appreciate you so much, Ingrid, again for your time, and
My
I
pleasure. Thank you.
will see you soon. I'll see you hopefully at URSA.
Yes, sounds great.